Okay. Hello, Polkadot communities. Welcome back to Polkadot Insider, an educational platform that helps the community exploring adoption on Polkadot ecosystem. So this is the first time we try a new format, live streaming on X and YouTube as well. And it's really nice to have an opportunity to sit here talking about Polkadot 2.0 and a lot of alpha that we would know in the next few minutes. So today with me is a really special guest who has been a key recenter for Polkadot in Asia market. And welcome Helena Wang, head of Parity Asia, and welcome to you to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Cris. Hey, Cris, I just want to make sure that, you can hear me fine, right?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for having me. I remember that we had another interview around like 6 months ago in the summer of this
Yeah.
year when you came over to Shanghai and attended the Polkadot Dakota 2023 China stage, right? We
Yeah.
had an interview in a very nice coffee shop near Lakeside, right? And then
Yes.
now, you're having me in your community for a second time. So my honor. Very pleasure to share a little bit more about Polkadot. So I
Okay.
assume that, most of your audience in the Polkadot Insider should have already been Polkadot insiders, right? So
Yeah.
today I'm gonna talk a little bit about what's after for Polkadot. I'm gonna start
Yeah.
from a memory lane,
Okay.
sharing about how Polkadot gets started, and then what are the critical milestones in the past 7 years, and then talk a little bit about what is the next stage for Polkadot 2.0. And then also I want to share a little bit about my views of how Polkadot 2.0 is going to reshape the development and growth of the Polkadot ecosystem and the community down the road. Personally, I've been very excited about the major launch of the Polkadot 2.0.
Okay.
And then after that, I'm sure that I will be open for a few questions that you collected from your community. And then
Yeah.
at the last, I will also touch upon a little bit about the hackathon. I appreciate that you already kind of highlighted a few hackathon
Yeah.
slides at the beginning, right? I'm going to share a little bit more information about that. So that will be, the three parts of the talk for today from me. That sounds
Okay,
good?
so yeah, it's pretty good. So before we get into more information, I believe that a lot of people know you, but may you like talk again a little bit about yourself and your background and how you came into Parity Asia for contribute for Polkadot.
Yeah, sure, sure. Well, so let me think about where do I start. Me and my team are mostly working on the growth and development of the Polkadot ecosystem in the Asia team. And a little bit about my personal background. I came from a Web2 corporate background as a technical product manager and later business development manager from some bigger corporates from Silicon Valley in the industry of payment industry and the fintech companies.
Okay.
So there was a opportunity that I had a nice talk with Parity folks and Web3 folks in the year of 2019 San Francisco Blockchain Week. And we ended up building a really good chemistry. And then they said, hey, we have a China team, start to establish. Do you want to join us? So I said, yeah, why not? So I submitted my resume to Parity, and a few months later, I was in Web3. So
Okay.
that's kind of, a little bit unexpected transit of my career from a big corporate to startup and a Web3 crypto space. So
Okay.
far, it's been very interesting. Yeah.
Okay. So what is the differences between Web 2 and Web 3 business in your perspective?
Oh, gosh, that's so different. But all I can see is once I'm in Web3, I don't want to go back. It's a lot more exciting. Sometimes
Yeah.
I may feel a little bit chaos, a little bit like unorganized, but that's where the excitement comes from.
Yeah.
And then it's like a white piece of paper there that
Right.
you have the painting. You have the freedom to draw your own paintings on
Right.
this white piece of paper, and then That's where the excitement comes from for me. I like to embrace uncertainty and like to embrace, the bright future of Web3. And I have a full confidence of Web3 is going to grow a lot bigger, a lot more exciting
Yeah.
industries down the road very soon.
Okay. So yeah, thanks for your introduction and also a little bit like perspective on Web3 industry. So can you sharing the slide right now to talking about Polkadot
Yeah,
2.0?
sure. I believe the slides already load up,
Okay, let
mm,
me. All right.
okay,
Let
great.
me hear.
And that looks okay to you guys, right?
Yeah, it's not okay to me though.
Okay, cool. Well, so yeah, again, as I mentioned that today I want to spend about like 20 minutes to talk about the Polkadot's evolution path from 1.0 to 2.0, starting from a memory lane year by year. I want to give a special thanks to my coworker Kai Chao Sun. He's actually the original author of this presentation deck. I just took it over and modified a little bit towards today's talk. But anyway, yeah. So let's just get started. The reason that I want to kind of going through the memory lane with the audience here is just because that I want to kind of take a few minutes to go through what already delivered in Polkadot, which could be considered as Polkadot 1.0. We started from 2016, right? The very first exciting Polkadot white paper
Okay.
published by Gav. And then basically he shares the vision of the full interoperability of Polkadot and also unveiled the high-level architecture of a Polkadot network. So then after that, the concepts of like a relay chain, Parity chains, right? And then the interoperability and then the cross-chain, cross-consensus messaging, all those terms popped out. So in the year of 2017, Parity started building. But the funny thing is, while they were working on developing and are designing Polkadot, they realized that it is so new that we don't even have a good tool. So while we were building the new wheel, we also built a new set of tool that allow developers to easily launch and customize their own blockchain, which is a substrate, right? Back then is a version 1. So it is a open source framework and it is a power tool for developer to build their own chain. So then after that, in the year of 2018, Substrate version 1 officially debuted on the Web3 Summit at Berlin. Gav, basically demos how to launch one blockchain with Substrate within 15 minutes. That was a awesome show. And that was actually one of the reasons I wanted to join Parity because I was shocked. I'm like, oh my God, it's amazing, right? This is something that really, really big for me. So in the same year, I think the Parity team, research and develop the consensus and a smart contract as well. So that's a baby grandpa consensus, and then they also started the high-level design of the WASM Inc. smart contract. And then time comes to 2019. Of course, during the time that 18 to 19, Polkadot works on the proof of stake and the governance V1 and a benchmark, and then finally, I remember it's September 2019, we deployed the Kusama version 1. And then we also published the substrate frame, which is a more modularized substrate. You could consider is a major upgrade from the substrate version 1. And then comes to the May 2020, Polkadot was alive. And then version 1 deployed. Yeah, that was quite a big time. And then comes to the 2021. But of course, Substrate was continued under development, and then we launched the version 2 of a frame. Was the grammar enhancement, some data migration from the older versions, and then we also launched the pilot version management. All those are big feature for the Substrate. At the same time, on the June 2021, Perry Chan was deployed on Kusama. And then November 2021, and then Perry Chan launched on Polkadot. All right. And then after that, finally, we come to the XCM, the cross consensus messaging. I think in the I think during the year of 2022, there is a multiple version of XCM was deployed and then upgraded. Basically, XCM is essentially represents the full interoperability cross chains. When we see full interoperability, that means the message or the information that passed through chain are including the assets, message, transaction information, right? And then even like the states of transactions. So this is actually quite a big thing because there are so many cross-chain solutions out there, but I would say from my view, very few of them would be even close to claim for interoperability because most bridge type of solution only focus on the asset transfer or crossing crossing bridge crossing chains for assets, but not really for the messaging itself or the transactions, and then the transaction states, logics, all sorts of other things. All right. So this is a big deal for me. And then in the year of 2023, another big stuff is launched, which is OpenGov. If I didn't remember wrong, if OpenGov was live around April 2023. So after that, you will see that this whole kind of like the most important features that described or defined, mentioned in the GAV's white paper that published in 2016 are pretty much delivered. And in my view, that's very much, the skeleton of Polkadot 1.0. But before I get into 2.0, I just want to kind of touch up on the XCM a little bit more. As we all know, XCM is stands for cross consensus messages, right? But that has three components. One is a format. It's essentially the format standard, like RESTful APIs. It has, it defines the location. For example, the message should cross from a chain 1 to chain 2, right? And the assets. For example, it's a transfer 10 ETH or like, 100 DOTs. And the instructions of the transfers or the transactions. And then define how this transaction should be properly executed. It's asynchronous and execution guaranteed. But again, it's only the format. It's very much like the email format that we define. All right, you need to write down who you want to send to, where you, where the source email IDs, right? And then it needs to follow the certain format in order for the executor to read the message. And the second part is the communication portal. So it's very much like, the portal standard, like TCP for internet. This portal standard, protocol standard has three methods. And I basically just kind of displayed it in this picture. I'm sure you can see my mouse hovering over on the pictures, right? Can you see my mouse moving on the screen?
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Yeah, so that three methods, if we look into the picture, it's very simple. The most advanced one is a cross messaging, cross consensus messaging passing, which is basically from Parity chain 1 to Parity chain 2. And then this is still under construction. We haven't fully finished it, but we finished the XRMP, which is a lighter version of XCMP. The full name is a horizontal relay routed messaging passing, meaning in order for me to send a message from Parity chain 1 to Parity chain 2, I basically need to go through Parity chain 1 to relay chain and to Parity chain 2. So it's easier in terms of the implementation. That's something we've already launched. And then there's another VMP is a vertical messaging passing. Essentially, basically, it is upward. It's a downward messaging or upward messaging. It essentially means like the parity chain send a message to relay chain. That is upward, right? Sending up to relay chain versus downward from a relay chain to parity chain 2. This is also a different method in terms of the message transport method. So then the third piece is the a executor. Essentially, that is a environment to read the message in the format defined, which send through the defined protocols and then execute the whole messaging transfer. So that three components become the skeleton of the XCM, and I just kind of like load up a 2 QR code here for the audience. You guys can just use your cell phone and then scan the QR code and read more about XCM, because this is the most important things to essentially offer the full interoperability. All right, so there's one page from the wiki Polkadot, one page from a Parity GitHub talks more about the essential knowledge of XCM. But again, I don't want to get into too much technical content. But I just want to come to, a conclusion of the Polkadot 1.0, right? Seems perfect, but what's the problem, right? Why do we need a 2.0? That is because we all know that parachain deployment is very expensive financially, technically, and operation wise. Think about you as a small Web3 like a startup. You have two buddies working with you together, right? In order to become a essential part of a Polkadot, you have to become a parent chain in the concept of a Polkadot 1.0. But then that means that you as a team needs to be very experienced with the Rust language. You need to take extra effort to learn and study, play around with the substrate, which is not easy, because I've been like offering substrate course for many years, so I know it takes some technical efforts to ramp up with substrate. And after that, you need to understand the cumulus, which is a special version of kind of like the substrate that it's a subset of substrate modules that are basically designed for parachain, right? And after that, you've been probably feeling exhausted, just get started and become a parachain technical wise, right? And then also the cost of a parachain slot could be not predictable. The price could be very high. So that means there's a financial uncertainties for a smart startup. If the final cost is beyond a team can afford, the parachain team doesn't have that much, that many DOT reserved. What do? They have to come up with a crawl loan, which is very optional, operationally heavy, right? So let's say you pass all the hurdles technically, financially, operationally, finally you're able to get a parachain, but one parachain slot is locked by one project for some year. I believe it's 11 months for Kusama, 22 months for Polkadot. What if you don't need this long, right? What if you're a small project? I just want to kind of launch a quick NFT. I don't want to be a parachain. This is too much for you, right? So the resource is not optimized. So then going through all the problems, let's think about it. What if we're able to bring up more flexibilities and resource optimization in Polkadot 2.0? So hey, bingo, here is a Coretime, right? Coretime is going to bring up so much more flexibility and affordability for startups that just build a very small, quick application and deploy it on Polkadot 2.0. So Polkadot 2.0 Coretime is going to significantly change the future of a Polkadot ecosystem. Why? Let me just explain the Polkadot 2.0 with a little bit more details. So Coretime, right? What is Coretime? I'm sure you guys probably heard about this name from Gav's talk in the Polkadot Decoded. But for the audience who have not yet really heard about Coretime, I want to just kind of like, bring up like a 5 minutes education here. We don't need to get into the super fancy technical terms or like, understand the technology inside. I will just, try to explain this with a very plain language. So Coretime, the technical term that you want to find from the let's say the Polkadot wiki is agile periodical scale based model for assigning core time of Polkadot. Oh my goodness, it's hard to understand, right? But let's forget about this long technical term. The essential is core time is the necessary resource of a underlying blockchain to commit to run or execute the application or blockchain on top of this L1. And the concept is pay as you need, pay as you go. This is a very much like an Amazon Web Service concept in Web 2. All right. And Coretime with a NFT. Oh, sorry, there's a typo on my slides. With an NFT certificate that can be sold, transfer, reassign. And if you decided not to use it, fine. You can list it in the Coretime pool, and which is a very cool like a rework concept. That essentially that you pay the small amount of the resource of a Polkadot blockchain for what your application exactly need. You don't have to pay a whole lot money to lock down Parity as a bulk resource or bulk purchase of the necessary resource of a Polkadot, right? So that is, how we are able to bring up the affordability and scalability and the flexibility. Okay. We want to make the price of the core time as predictable as possible. So we're still working on the design of the initial price and as a price change model. More information will come out. But the whole concept is we want to make it easier to renew core time's ownership at various granularity for a developer. So you know how much you're going to pay for the application you're going to build, and then you just pay as it plans. And then that means that no slot auction needed. But instead, we are going to have a system Parity in place to manage the core time, manage, the selling, transfer, and assignment and usability of core time. So at this time, I want to take a pause. I want to use an analogy for you guys to understand what is core time versus Parity, which is the essential difference between Polkadot 1.0 and 2.0. Let me use this analogy like that. Polkadot built a brand new retail building, all right, with tons of retail space to rent out. And then in Polkadot 1.0, it is very much like, you have to rent a whole floor. No matter you are a big, let's say a small ice cream shops, or you want to run a large supermarket. I don't care who you are, you have to rent from a whole floor. So then that essentially become a burden for lots of small retailers, right? Polkadot 2.0 is, all right, so Polkadot said, we're going to establish a management office, which is this system Parity to manage core time. We're going to renovate all the retail space. We're going to have a management office to manage the signing the lease, right? And then we're going to have a team of cleanings, securities, and then the maintenance folks make sure all the retail space is nice and clean. And then you as a ice cream shop, you want to come over, just rent, a 4 meters by 4 meter, 4 by 4 meters, a small retail space, fine. Here is a space you pay and you just get, this size, right? So this is a lot more flexible. And then that's why I think, it brings up a great feature and allow us to reimagine the feature of Polkadot ecosystem. So let's take a look, with the pictures here. Those pictures are also demonstrated by Gav in his talk, but I think it makes sense for us to steal his pictures just, to help us to understand. The core usability demonstrated in this picture is how, we're using in Polkadot 1.0. So you could consider like a one line is a one Parity, right? One Parity that you slot Parity slot that is locked for a long period of time, and during this leasing time, all this core resource assigned to you as a project, no matter you need it or not, no matter you use it or not. here you go, right? You pay a lot of money and then you lock those resources for you. And then in the Polkadot 2.0, we basically, divided the core time, in a smaller granularity for best flexibility. So for example, that, let's look at a core one, which is, a parachain one. We will allow two application takes the amount of the core time they need. So for example, in core one, right, there is 6 blocks of yellow application takes over, and then later there's 5 blocks of green application takes over the resource, right? So that basically that we're able to split the core time into by multiple applications as they need it. And then the core time can also be shuffled, so multiple application can take turns as they need it. So for example, as the picture demonstrated here, right? It could be 50-50% split. Let's look at the core one, core two, right? So basically there's two applications that demonstrated in the different colors. They take even 50-50 split. But that could also be two applications take the 2/3 and 1/3 split in the core resource, which is how the core 3 demonstrates. Or it could be in the core n demonstrates that the 3 application takes 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 splits. It's all very flexible as the application needed. All right. And then let's look into the core combination. Instead of splitting, think about that. Let's say there's a big application or big, chain type of projects. They need to use, occupy a lot of resource. So they could possibly just, get the whole Parity chain as core one demonstrate, or core one or core 3 demonstrate, or, they could just goes back to the core split model, which is a core 2, core n demonstrate, right? So that means instead of cutting core time into a small units, that could also be combined to support the predicted spike needs of block space. And then core can also be shared with one core. I mean, core time can be also shared with one core to reduce the cost while same latency. So this is a little bit different from core split. Core split meaning that, every application get one core. But what if, let's take the wild imagination. Let's say multiple application can share one core. So then, as long as they're okay with the divided bandwidth over the block space, right? That's fine. So with those kind of examples, now you see, the flexibility of the core time is able to offer. Come back to our the analogy, right? So now the whole nice building can support all levels of retailers for different business. A supermarket can take the whole level of the Polkadot building. Let's say flower shop can take just a small, let's say, a small chunk of the retail space. And a ice cream shop can take another even smaller chunk of space, right? It all depends on the application's needs. So I think core time is more than a technology upgrade that reshape the imagination of how a blockchain could possibly achieve. So there is a multiple benefits for developers, for ecosystem, and even for the network itself. Let's take a look at the benefits for developer. Of course, it's easier user experience for developer now because you do not need to go through the parachain slot auction, all sorts of like hassles, right? So that means it's easier for a developer to launch and develop their application on top of Polkadot. And then also there's a predictability of long-term cost of the ecosystem project, which is very important because for a small startup project in Web3, we of course need to figure out what is the affordability, right? And then change the view from chain centric to application centric. That lower the interest barrier for new projects come to Polkadot because this is the most things that got criticized by the community, that Polkadot's onboarding cost is too high. In order to become a Parity chain, it's too cost heavy, right? And then we also offer great scalability. Right now, the goal is to support 1,000 cores, but I'm sure, after the technology involved itself, soon we're going to reach a lot higher number, 5,000 cores, 10,000 cores, no problem. So this is the benefits for developer. The most essential benefits for developer is the onboarding cost is going to be significantly decreased. In my view, it's possibly probably, lower by more than 50% or even like, 60, 70%, depending on the advancement level of the developers. Okay. So the benefits to the ecosystem is also huge. It will be like a lot easier to have all sorts of applications or projects just because the developers onboarding cost is so much lower. And then that means we're going to have more applications, which means more traffics, more network activities, more address and wallets. I mean, number of the address and the wallets, right, in the network, and more transactions. And then that means a rapid growth of ecosystem development. And that means, we're able to eventually best to capture the reasonable value of the Polkadot. Essentially, that means, it'll drive the value of the DOT, right? Because it creates the demands of the DOT. All right. So let's just take 1 second. Think about, how exciting the Coretime. There's more kind of like, documents that, if any audience in this session wants to understand the core, you guys can just like, get into those technical documents to understand the technology and the roadmap a little bit more. But of course, before I close this session up, just want to talk a little bit about the core play and the core gem, because those are related with the Coretime. So core play is a very much like a core executor. It's something like a smart contract designer for the core, and it's active model based. The reason we wanted this is because we want to offer the familiar development experience or mode for developers, right? For application developers, they get used to just like learn some smart contract and then deploy the smart contract on top of a certain L1 blockchain. So we offer this, and then no need to deploy a Parity chains. No need to calculate the resource consumptions for executing a transaction, which is a way. Those are all just kind of the Polkadot 1.0 concepts. And then this core play is going to offer the parallel execution, which is gonna increase the output, the throughput of the transactions. So I have this QR code here. If you guys are interested in this core play, read this GitHub. Core gem, is a more like a generalized model based on the Coretime and the core play. It's a so the technical concept, it's like a decentralized, parallelized, permissionless state machine based on a multi-stage collect, refine, join, accumulated model. But I used to like, I like to just ignore those technical definition, because we just need to understand what is a core gem for. Basically, core gem is, in my view, is very much like a more generalized, abstract tools that allow user to build their own core play and core time, so that able to fully further support the long tail needs of the developers for their niche market. So essentially that, you don't have to go with a Polkadot core or core play. You can have your own core play and core and core play. Okay. So this is a very much of the Polkadot 2.0. Of course, we have more functionalities under the building now. I don't want to go through them, but all I want you guys to know is that Polkadot is still developing. Parity still committed itself to the full development and upgrade and maintenance of the Polkadot network. and there's so much to expect down the road. So stay with us. All right. That's very much, for the introduction session of the Polkadot 2.0.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Hannah. Like, it's really great presentation, and like it's have been a while. Like, Polkadot have gone a really long path to development, right? And
Mm.
also a lot of information about Coretime, Coreplay, and Corejam as well. And I I know that this upgrade will take times, maybe the next few months or even like 1 or 2 years to completely um, release to the whole communities and developers to start building on it. But
Mm-hmm.
it's really great that the community would know what they can expect in Polkadot in next few months at least. Okay, so before we go to the main question today, I will have two more questions for this presentation. So the ecosystem is now extremely diverse with like multiple components. So how the Parity is going to support the development of Polkadot ecosystem as always during 2.0.
Uh, all right. So let me try to get your question right. So you're asking me that how Parity as a team
Yeah,
is going to develop the Polkadot 2.0.
yeah, like because like right now, um, because Parity is officially become decentralized, right? And
Yeah. I
yeah,
got it.
yeah.
I got it. Yeah. So that's a part, I do want to touch upon because it's super relevant. And I want to also thank you very much for giving this opportunity and this perfect channel for me to explain those questions. So Parity's developer team remains 100%. It's not going to be decentralized, especially, the core developer team that works on the development and deployment, maintenance, upgrade of Polkadot network. This remains as the same. Everybody still with Parity. And as a matter of fact, we're continue hiring more uh, talented developers to join us. And then our estimated deliveries of the essential part of core time is actually the at Q1 or Q2 next year. So it's not going to take one more year because we right now have a lot more organized software development method, and we have a few talents hired from Google and those big corporates that help us to speed up the development process. So yeah, so for development piece, everything remains the same. Polkadot continue, Parity committed itself 100% to deliver all the technologies and then functionalities that we described in Gav's talk and in this presentation.
Okay. So Rick, so then your answer also led me to another question relating to that because there are a lot of new ecosystem agents are born with decentralized future program and with different teams, right? Different components
Mm.
and so how Parties perceive its role in this program and also how Parity can collaborate with other teams to make contribution for Polkadot.
Um, well, so you are talking about the second row of Parity. As I
Yeah,
mentioned that, the first row of Parity is of course the R&D center, right, to invent, research, develop, and maintain the network of a Polkadot, Kusama, and the substrate framework.
yeah,
And the second row is basically to, in my view, is in the past few years, we as a team to build, grow, and influence the Polkadot ecosystem and the community. And lots of them are builders, including but not limiting to individual developers, founders, and entrepreneurs, and general technical enthusiasts. Polkadot is probably one of the L1s out there that focus on the developer talents most. Okay. So after the decentralization or during the process of decentralization, this functionality remains. However, we're just going to take a one step back.
yeah,
Okay. We want to leave the influential power to the community itself, to people like you, to the community KOLs, to the let's just say some decentralized marketing or branding functionalities. But Parity would be remain in the Polkadot. We're going to focus on more educating the technology of Polkadot. We're going to focus on more influence, and grow the developer community. And then, of course, we will continue working on onboarding the new Polkadot ecosystem projects. Yeah. So to answer your question, we will be still essential part of the Polkadot ecosystem, but we're going to leave more space and influential power to the community in this decentralization process.
Okay. So Parity is focusing right now on implementing and developing technology for Polkadot 2.0. So to improving the developer experience and also fostering a stronger developer community. So in your opinion, how significant are these areas decide the future development of Polkadot?
Uh, let me think about it. I wanna starting from the Polkadot's future development, right?
Yeah.
I think
I,
Polkadot 2.0, as I mentioned, is very, very important. It's essentially pivoting the development direction from chain-centric to application-centric. So it's going to reshape the whole future of the Polkadot. We are expecting to see more applications on board with Polkadot network, and more application, as I mentioned, meaning more network activities. So if I don't remember wrong, if I from the Q3 Masari report of the state of Polkadot, we only have right now a few thousands of active wallets or address inside of a Polkadot network. So our goal is to drive this number significantly by having more applications on Polkadot network, and then so that's why this is going to be very, very important. This is going to be the most essential changes for us. So you ask me how significant, are those areas? I would say it's critical. It's very, very critical to Polkadot. We are all hands on deck to develop and deliver Polkadot 2.0 as fast as we can. And then hoping, we're going to drive up the network activities, number of the new address and number of the new wallets, number of the transactions, and then the Polkadot traffics, everything. Yeah. So again, as I mentioned, that stay with us, and then we're going to deliver the Polkadot 2.0 very soon.
Okay, so Polkadot has introduced various programs like Polkadot Fellowship, Polkadot Blockchain Academy, and open governance, and a lot of reward scheme to bolster the ecosystem expansion. So, what's your take on how these initiatives benefit Polkadot, and are there more initiatives like this in the future plan?
Yes, we do. So you mentioned Polkadot Fellowship, right? PBAs, OpenGov, and all sorts of reward programs, right, are essential part of Polkadot network to ensure the the decentralization process is successful. So they're very important. They're essential to the Polkadot ecosystem's growth and development. Parity, at the same time, together with a Web3 Foundation, recently announced a program with a 45 million USD equivalent cash to motivate and funded the teams to join us to build and contribute to Polkadot ecosystem down the road. So I would suggest audience in this AMA to take a look at this program called Polkadot Future Program. Is there any way that I can share a link of this program in this
It's the
in this
decentralized
audience.
future program, right?
Yeah,
Okay, let me share it.
I have the URL link here. Is there any way? Oh, you know what? I can probably share the.
Do,
Is there any
do
way
you
to
want me
share
to
my
share?
screen? Oh yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead. Yeah.
I can share my screen as well. Okay. Yeah, this is it, right?
That's right. Yeah. So this is the very pertinent initiatives that you're asking for. I want to, the audience in this AMA to read into this website and then submit your brilliant idea. And then we're here to support you financially, and also, we support you with necessary organizational resource. I think this is the perfect timing, for me to emphasize this program is critical for Polkadot's decentralization. We want all the necessary units or functional units are in place and working together smoothly. So the decentralization process could be very successful for Polkadot.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let me go through another question that we have prepared now too, because I believe that the communities also really want to know about this question as well. Um, so how about the technology itself with Polkadot 2.0? Like how can it significantly strengthen Polkadot in the upcoming competition among like different layer one blockchain? And also could you offer some evaluation considering like both technical advancement and also ecosystem development from this competition?
Okay. Well, so I think, I just want to repeat the points that I mentioned in the slides, right? Polkadot 2.0 is going to reshape, the future of the Polkadot network itself and also the ecosystem. Let's talk from the technical perspective. Well, so after going through, the basic concept of a Polkadot 1.0 and a 2.0 and understand the fundamental difference behind the scene, right? So technical wise, I think, Polkadot determines to kind of pivot the directions and then onboard more applications. Polkadot has been like criticized for the complexity and the difficulty of a overly sophisticated underlying blockchain solution. So I mean, as Parity, is actively listening to the feedback and advice and suggestions or, the critical comments from the community. And we're rolling out a new solution, a solution of the chain-centric to something more application-centric. So this change over the design of a Parity to Coretime is going to essentially change the direction of the underlying. So that is a huge technical pivot, right? But in terms of the ecosystem development, and then also as I mentioned that my personal take is it's going to uh, kind of a substantially, significantly change the ecosystem just because, technical wise, it lowers the onboarding cost of a application for a project team. And it also lowers the cost and the effort of deploying, maintaining, and upgrading the D apps down the road. So developers are able to use a lot more affordable and a predictable cost, technically, financially, and operationally, to do their best to run the startup. So that essentially kind of increase their success rate in Polkadot. So again, that with the expectation of onboarding more applications, such as in DeFi, right, NFT, social apps, and even like a fully on-chain games. It's going to change, the Polkadot network by increasing the Polkadot network activities, the active address, active contract, and then the active user as well. So I have different pair of eyes viewing Polkadot ecosystem down the road. Yeah.
Okay, so beside that, do you think are there any potential challenges for Polkadot in the next few years? Like, and also how can Polkadot can overcome these issues?
Yeah. So I think there's a few things are very crucial. They probably may not be a challenge to parity, but they're very important. And then I would say a few things are equally important and critical in my view. The first is we as Parity need to deliver quickly of the essential functionality of Coretime, that including agile Coretime and the bulk Coretime and the core play. So that is the first component. We are 100% geared up to deliver those essential parts of Polkadot 2.0. So that is the precondition. If this doesn't happen, then I would say, yeah, Polkadot ecosystem won't look good down the road. And then the second component is the successful, smooth transition of the Polkadot decentralization. And all the decentralized functionality, I mean, the working units need to be in place and working together nicely. This is beyond the technology upgrade of Polkadot network. It is a revolution or social experiment at a lot broader level. It's more than technology. And I'm sure there's not too many projects in the human's history ever have done this before, right? I would
Yeah.
say Ethereum is doing okay. Bitcoin, they are very decentralized, but there is no decentralization process from a foundation or organization to 100% decentralization that we can learn, because on the day one, it's just like that. So we don't have a lot good of examples. We are exploring our own path. And the Parity Asia team is going to work as a first responder at the front line to collect, process, and prioritize the feedback from the ecosystem and from the community like you. We're here to listen to you guys, and we're also here, to support you guys. So this decentralization, whether can be happen successfully, is another critical component, and also that could be a important challenge that we need to overcome. But here we is more than parity. It's a parity, community, right? Ecosystem projects, everybody in this game. Yeah,
Okay.
so those are kind of like a few critical components in order to have a successful Polkadot ecosystem down the road, in my view.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for your answer about this. And also, I have a curiosity for myself, like because Party is in the development for the whole Polkadot technologies, and until now, like after open governance is released and a lot of uh, proposal is coming for open gov, and in the development side, like in your perspective, so how do you observe the success of open governance until now?
Well, open governance. I don't have a lot say of open governance. For a simple reason is that me as a parity employee, we're not even allowed to
I say right,
submit any
right.
proposal, right? But I can be a close observer.
Yeah.
I think open gov is a great idea. But right now, I mean, like when we just launched this program, there's a lot of things to be improved, to be optimized, and also the whole community needs to be further educated to participate and play a important role in OpenGov. So we're seeing that one that the governance proposal efficiency has gone up a lot, just because we get into the open gov and everything can be happen in parallel way, instead of being limited by the human resource in governance number one, governance one, I mean. And then we also see that a lot more participation in terms of, the number of the proposals submitted, number of people participating, and the number of the DOT voted. So those are all good signs. But again, as I mentioned, that this is a brand new things. We hold a kind of a bright view of OpenGov, but it still needs, a lot more uh, detailings, and it takes us, to optimize the process. But again, yeah, so I'm just looking forward, the OpenGov become a more and more important, and having more and more participation in Polkadot ecosystem. I think Polkadot's OpenGov is something quite unique, as compared to any other L1s. You don't see this in Solana. You
Yeah,
don't see
right.
this in the Polygon. You don't see this in even in Ethereum, right? Ethereum has the governance, but it's not like, the automatic software or system automated governance. So let's just looking forward to it.
Yeah, I agree that OpenGo winning of Polkadot right now is 100% decentralized in technology and also the people as well. And it's really nice to see this. In my opinion, it's like a new social experience to change the crypto user behavior and so on, and then also um, yeah, a lot of things to see in upcoming time. Okay, and awesome. Thank you for all the information today about Polkadot 2.0, and I think it's also important to emphasize some of the biggest initiative of Polkadot in 2023 and 2024, right? So the
Mm-hmm.
Polkadot Winter Hackathon, so hosted by Parity Asia and also One Block teams. So yeah, definitely I need to shout out to one block team for doing shut up break work. So can you please tell us more about this? And I'm sure that the community who want to know whether and how they can be a part of it.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I appreciated that you giving me a little bit more time to talk about Hexon. So
Yeah.
Parity Asia teams uh, running this hackathon for 3-4 years. That is one of the major initiatives of parity in Asian market. We usually offer two hackathons a year in the Asia Pacific, and we've been seeing the constant growing in terms of the number of the team formed, number of the registrations, number of the projects submitted, and the quality also, has become like higher. So I'm very excited that, we're going to having another Hexon demo day in the January 2024 at Hong Kong. Um, Let me share my screens just for a little bit. Okay, share screen here to see. Just give me a second because I want to go through the Hexon page a little bit, just in case people here, wanted to participate in this interesting events. Oh, it's here. So we have all the Chinese instructions of the Polkadot Hackathon in the Parity GitHub. You can search, Parity GitHub 2024 Polkadot Hackathon. And we have the English instructions uploaded in the Dora Hack, which is also our hackathon partners. So here, it basically just shows that the 7 steps to participating in the hackathon. You need to fill up the registration form, right? Join a WeChat group for Chinese audience or Discord for English audience. You need to build your projects starting from the day of registration. And then we want you to submit your project in certain way that defined by in the GitHub. Okay. And then from the time November 20th to December 8th that you have the time to find your team. If you don't have a team member, join the workshops or the online team up events that are hosted by OneBlock. They're going to pair you with other individuals and hopefully, can team you up. So it will be a lot more fun. We want you to submit the application materials preliminary before the December 22nd. And after that, a group of Parity engineers and a couple other, technical judges are going to look into the materials and then go through all of them and make sure that, they are meeting the quality and meeting all the submission requirements. And then after that, we're going to come up with the final round and invite those teams to Hong Kong for the on-site demo day. The initial screening would be happening between December 23rd to 24th, so I want you guys appreciate the time that the Parity engineering team is putting down because it's right before Christmas. So that's a lot of work for them. And then after that, we want you to submit, if you're selected to the final round and participate in the demo day at Hong Kong, which is, the decision would be released after December 25th, Christmas, right? We want you just, submit more information to, for example, the demo videos, right? Project demo PowerPoints, and then we want you to confirm something. And then after that, we basically just see you at Hong Kong. So here, we have the competition submission rules and the standards. We want you to follow the standard in order to be reviewed. Otherwise, we may possibly have to discard your application, which will be a shame. So read the important rules and follow the rules, all right? Make sure that your application will be reviewed by the judging panel. And then one thing I want to mention is that we do offer 30,000 US dollar equivalent amount of DOT to the participating teams to the demo day at Hong Kong to compensate you for the travel cost. So that means that, besides the rewards as the winning team, you also be able to share the special pool of the 30,000 US dollar equivalent DOT to compensate your travel cost, because we do want to meet you in person at Hong Kong. So I hope, this is gonna motivate the team, come over to Hong Kong and stay with us. So the final demo day would be January 13 and 14. January 13, it's basically just a check-in and do the pitch rehearsal. We're also going to host a mini event with interesting partners like AWS, right? Bunch of ecosystem projects, representative from Hong Kong universities, and then representative from Cyberport. And then the mini event and then the demo day are going to be at a Cyberport in a very nice building. So again, yeah, I hope to see you guys. And then welcome, you all to participate in this hackathon. Okay.
All right.
That's it.
Yeah, I think this is all information we need right now. And hey, Polkadot community, if you are a developer and you want to contribute for Polkadot and starting with like participate on the hackathon, right? So feel free to DM Polkadot Insider and also OneBlocks, and we will give you more information about that. Okay. So I believe that we have no question left. And before we say goodbye to the community, do you want to say any word for the Polkadot communities?
Yeah, sure. I want to thank you very much, Chris, for hosting this session for me. Allow me
Yeah.
to deliver the important message of Polkadot 2.0 and then the hackathon information to your audience. And then I hope, see you in person at Hong Kong,
Yeah,
if it's
hopefully,
possible.
hopefully, still got
Yeah.
problem in visa. I
Come to
hope
say
so.
hi with me at Hong Kong, and I'm sure people probably also notice that during that time Polkadot blockchain academy program is
Yeah.
also going to have a cohort at Hong Kong. So that means you
Okay.
get to see, the Parity Asia team, get to see, a bunch of interesting judges, right, from a VC, big, blockchain enterprise organizations, um, and then you also get to meet, the people from PBA Hong Kong cohort, and you get to meet a bunch of, the PBA instructors. They are flying from all over the world. So again, yeah, come to join us at January. I see you at Hong Kong then.
Would the communities like potential see gave there gave him word?
I don't know. I cannot speak on his behalf, but as far as I know, Gav usually kick off the one cohort, or
Mm.
sometimes close up one cohort for the previous PBA cohorts. So it's very likely he's going to swing by at Hong Kong, either kick off the class or close up, the cohort. So possibly we're gonna have him at Hong Kong during PBA.
Okay. Also, I have two questions from the communities. Do you still have time for that?
Oh yeah, sure, of course.
Okay. So first question from the community is when will exactly Polkadot 2.0 be launched?
Oh, okay. So Polkadot 2, okay. Any software launch, it's not gonna by one day, right? It's by
Yeah.
stage. It's like a stage by stage. But internally, we're aiming to deliver something which would be the most important core part of the Polkadot 2.0 in the Q1 or Q2 because it doesn't take too much to revamp into Polkadot 2.0. We have all the fundamental functionality down there. We just need to do a little bit like, touch up here and there in order to chop the parity chain into Coretime. Because the Coretime's concept essentially is a smaller granularity as compared to parity chain, right? So there's some essential work, but it's not as big as we initially view. So hopefully that we have something to bring back to the community, maybe first half of next year.
Okay. So second question is uh, what are the requirement exactly requirement to apply for Polkadot Winter Hackathon? Like do we need any knowledge and something like that to apply for Polkadot Winter Hackathon? And it's still on time, right?
Yes, you still have time. And then Polkadot Hexon has some prerequisite, which needs to be substrate related. Okay. You could use substrate to launch a chain or use substrate to develop a application. So as long as it's a substrate related, that should be able to okay to participate in the hackathon. Um, I would suggest you to read into the Dora Hack page. You guys can Google search Dora Hack Polkadot Winter Hackathon 2023, and it should pop out, a lot more detailed instructions that talks about, the categories of the track. We have 3 tracks, and then each track would offer a few winners. For example, like winners for first prize, winners for second and third for each tracks. And then we're also going to have a special prize for university students, just because this time that we had quite a bit of participation and interests from multiple universities. Some of them are at Hong Kong, some of them are from mainland China. So we have a special prize for university students. Yeah.
Okay. And I have a last question from the community, but I don't know this information have available yet. But do we have price for core time yet?
We don't. So as I mentioned that this is the part we're under designing.
Yeah.
Remember that we need to design the pricing mechanism to be flexible and also predictable, right? So that means that we start from an initial price, and then there will be a price change model that, based on the price in the previous block time. So this whole mechanism needs to be redesigned. That's still, TBD. Yeah. So we didn't know the price, but again, this is going to be a lot smaller, a lot more affordable than Parity chain.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that's all for now. And thanks you again for like your amazing time joining with us today and a lot of information that the community like really want to know and they know now, right? And thank you again, and also shout out to one blog that reaching out to us to create this live streaming. Yeah, thank you, and see you next time.
Yep. I see you next time, and possibly see you at Hong Kong, Cris. All right.
Yeah, see you. Bye.
Okay. Bye, guys. Thank you.